Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
This was one we missed in 2022.
Yes, I saw it in theaters, but I don't think you were able to make it out.
I didn't get out to the theater, and I think it was like you had seen it just after we had already recorded all of those episodes.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And then you rewatched it this year and was like, dude, we got to do it. We got to.
This movie rips so hard.
So first thing that I have to say,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that this was about the actual Santa Claus.
Okay.
I literally thought this was like Bad Santa with violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like a mall Santa down on his luck, stuck in like extraordinary circumstances.
I feel like the marketing didn't help.
No.
The marketing for this movie, the trailers made it seem also more horror-like, because even you were like,
yeah, should we watch this in
should this
October?
will this fit better with an October episode? And I'm like, no, I don't. like nothing about this screams October to me, other than the fact that it can be gory at times.
Yeah, it's violent. That was
it
about
is
all that it
very
had going
violent.
for it.
In the namesake, Violent Night. It was a violent night. But yeah, Real Santa, I love the background they give on the character as well. When I left the theater, I was like, holy shit, they made a movie for me. Like this is the Dylan movie. I love Norse mythology. Not to bury the lead here, but it is very much based around in Norse mythology kind of.
Yeah.
I love the like genre tropes and the horror comedy type aspect. A lot of the conversations between the family members reminded me of You're Next, turned up to like 11.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I really, really enjoyed this movie, and David Harbour is awesome. And I can't wait to see kind of what happens after Stranger Things, like after that kind of goes away. What's next for him, because I think he's fantastic. But what are your thoughts on Violent Night?
I really, really liked it. Now, you and I can both agree it does have one major flaw, which is that it's longer than 90 minutes, which is
longer than 90 minutes.
A major strike 9 times out of 10 for us. But at the very start, Santa's getting drunk in this bar.
Yeah.
And he thinks this might be his last Christmas because he's sick of the greed of children. And then there's this kind of magical moment where the people in the bar realize, like, oh, fuck, that was the real Santa.
Yeah, because he's naming the bartender's grandson.
Children. Yeah, so
talking about, like, here's that video game he wants. He is very grumpy Grandpa Claus.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
And then
fucking kids in their video games.
Then he vomits on them. And it is gross. It is the grossest pile of vomit I've seen in a long time.
It's really gross, and that's the only moment I feel of this movie where I was like, yeah, I didn't need that. Like, I know you're setting up Santa of being like down on his luck. He's bummed out about the holiday not being what it once was. But I feel like kind of what you were just saying, the vomit gets real close to that bad Santa territory.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
The goofy, look, it's a Christmas comedy of raunchy shit.
Yeah, but I will say this, like, I wrote down almost no notes. I was fully immersed in the watching experience of the movie.
Hell yeah.
The only things I wrote down is there's a quote, which, I mean, talk about the "you're next" of it all, is the "kiss me in front of my son."
Yeah.
Like that. That feels straight out of You're Next, honestly.
The You're Next where he's like, fuck me next to my dead mother.
Dead mother,
and he's like, why do you think that would, like, turn me on? Like, what?
Yeah, you never want to do the things I want to do. That's not true. Well, then fuck me in front of your dead mother.
I think he goes, that's not a fair
assessment.
Yes. Dude, You're Next is awesome.
You're Next is so
movie.
good. And then the other part that I wrote down is that happened, and I had to mark it in my notes, is the conversation about asshole, butthole, or anus on what will put you on the naughty list.
Yep.
Because again, just makes me think of
butthole. Does that work?
Yeah.
That's borderline.
It's borderline. Anus. Yeah, we can do with anus.
Yeah.
Of course, my favorite thing that we've ever quoted in this show the I think you should leave sketch was just like, I got to check to see if they have tattoos.
Yeah.
They get tattoos, no present. It's naughty. It's just naughty behavior. It's just
So set us up, Matt. Let's start from the top of what this movie is actually about.
So you got a couple things moving here. As we said up front, Santa, he's sick of being Santa. He thinks that there's really no truly good children left. He's kind of accepted that everything's about greed.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this little girl and her mom and dad who are kind of separated, or like in a trial separation, and all she wants for Christmas is to have a normal family again.
And communicating way better than the people in the movie Genie.
Yes.
Streaming on Peacock.
Extremely better, yes. And the dad is part of this very wealthy family. And then we're kind of trapped with these out-of-touch one-percenters, essentially, while a militia breaks into their house to try to steal all the money that was recently put in the vault. And all of the militia are using Christmas-related code names. So you've got like a Scrooge, a Krampus, etc. Santa shows up at the house to drop off some gifts for the girl, and then within all of the craziness, the reindeer gets scared off, and he's essentially trapped in this fucked up weird situation. And he has a walkie-talkie that's connected to the little girl as she's giving him like the play-by-play on what's happening. And he's mostly, Santa's killing people in this movie.
Yes.
And we find out it's because he used to be a Viking years before he
was
became
like
Santa.
a Norse warrior. And I really liked that. I didn't want this movie to just be like, well, yeah, Santa Claus can fuck people up because he's Santa. Like, I liked it going back to not only him being a Viking, but also him reflecting on his actions when he was younger. And, like, he is very much getting beaten down until like he hits that last straw and then just goes berserk on everyone around him with that sledgehammer.
But it is funny because leading up to that, there are like these not accidental deaths, but like killings in self-defense type situations.
Yeah.
That eventually grow into like, oh fuck, I've killed a lot of people. He says at one point, he's just like, I put a star in his head and he kind of blew up. It wasn't intent. Like, he's like, it's almost like the way he's bumbling through the fact that he's accidentally killing all these people is equally comedic. Because it is, he's still Santa. He's jolly old St. Nicholas. He doesn't want all this shit to be happening, especially not on his watch.
So I will say MVP of like 2022 for me, or unsung MVP of 2022 for me. His performance in The Menu was just as good as this one. I loved John Leguizamo.
As
Scrooge.
He's fantastic in this, and I mean the most brutal of all the deaths in this whole movie.
Very much so.
So I mean, we're jumping to pretty much to the end at this point because John Leguizamo is like second tier big bad, basically. Because in all these movies, you think that anytime that it's an action movie, in case you've never watched an action movie before, they lead you to believe that the person that you've been watching for the first hour is the main big bad. And then 9 times out of 10 at like the hour mark, they actually introduce that person's higher up superior. But, and this is no different. But John Leguizamo fucking hates Christmas, and he hates Santa Claus because he feels wronged by Santa in the past. And at one point, they're scuffling, and they're underneath a chimney, and Santa grabs John Leguizamo's hand, and he presses his nose that makes him magically go up the chimney, and as he does, he just fucking mutilates this corpse as it's getting pulled straight through this chimney at rapid speed.
God.
And it's just, by the time he gets to the top of the chimney, it's just like a mangled pile of gore that barely resembles a human body anymore.
It's so brutal.
It's great though. It's pretty great.
What I do like about this movie is there's some callbacks to other Christmas movies. Like we've got the obvious one, like the Home Alone stuff, talking to the kid. But also I feel like that the whole like security squad, that is straight up Die Hard 2. Like that is straight out of Die Hard 2.
Which, as people may know, I've said is the more Christmassy of the Die Hard movies. Die Hard 2 is more Christmassy than Die Hard 1.
Not gonna get an argument from me.
Yeah, there's snow on the ground. What is more Christmassy than shitty airline travel?
Exactly. And that's why, like, we talk about even Home Alone 2, to me, feels a little more Christmassy than Home Alone 1.
Just a tiny bit.
Just the New York of it all.
Yeah, I think that the only reason the first Home Alone, feels so Christmassy anymore is just because, I mean, it is. It's Christmas.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Christmas in it.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, that is just that's like watching The Grinch or Christmas Story at this point. It's just
been ingrained at this point.
It's part of the December fabric at this point in time. So it's a little bit different.
Where does David Harbour sit on your Santa list?
I didn't even think about that. I actually think he was a surprisingly good Santa.
I think so too. I would agree.
He wouldn't have been the person I thought of. But I'm glad that he's the person we got. Does that make sense?
He's good for this version of Santa.
And exclusively this version.
Yeah, it is. It's very much this version of Santa. This Santa that, God, I want to make so many. This is very reminiscent of a game series, God of War.
Okay.
And especially the newest one that came out is... Kratos, who is now in this Norse world dealing with the Norse gods, is kind of reflecting on his past actions because he was like very murderous and brutal in the earlier games. And I feel like David Harbour kind of embodies that, where he can have that brutality moment, and he does, especially when they start like giving flashbacks to him on the battlefield and just the way he looks. I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see David Harbour's The Northman. Like, I want to see that version of it.
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
I feel like I read that there is sequel talks to this. But
that
maybe
would be cool.
Maybe instead of sequel talks, they should be having prequel talks.
Yeah.
So let me double check that real quick. Violent Night is the movie I'm looking for. All right. So in November 2022, Harper mentioned that there were discussions of Mrs. Claus appearing in a potential sequel during the production of the first film. The actor expressed interest in seeing Charlize Theron in the role. In December of the same year, the director confirmed that there have been ongoing discussions between him and the writers, with the potential for Mrs. Claus, the North Pole, and the elves factoring into the story. The filmmaker stated that the realization of a follow-up movie depended on the success of the first movie. A month later, the producer confirmed that all creative involved intended to make a sequel, with the work on the project commencing in the next few weeks. In January of 2023, it was confirmed that a sequel is already in production. So that almost sounds, unless I'm wrong, that it's almost going to be a congruent movie. Like, as this is happening, we will see everything that was happening in the North Pole leading up to this.
And I hope that's what happens. What I don't want to happen is, I feel like every time we get a movie that works, Santa-wise, we're like, okay, so in the next one, we're going to set it in the North Pole, and we're going to have fucking fantastical shit happening. And I'm like, I feel like sometimes these movies work because a lot of them are more grounded in reality almost. So like,
I think it's the difference. It's the difference between the first Santa Claus and
that's
the
exactly where I was going.
I was going to say, and everything else that's come after it is that most of the first Santa Claus, you only get maybe 20 minutes of that
Yep.
entire movie is in the North Pole.
Yeah.
The rest of it is like Scott Calvin adjusting to life as Santa Claus. And then it's like every sequel from that point on had to like escalate the
Yep.
situation
Yeah.
to make it more Christmassy and charming and magical and whimsical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it kind of
I
like
feel this-
hurt the movie.
I feel the same way. I know you're not a big fan of the series in general, but I feel the same way about Christmas Chronicles. Like the first Christmas Chronicles was set in reality, right?
If you were to pick Christmas Chronicles, I would happily rewatch it and give it a reassessment. I think that when I watched Christmas Chronicles, I'm not sure if you know this about me, Dylan. I have a tendency, I think both of us actually have the same tendency. I have a tendency to really dig my heels in this thing is great, and then if something else is getting way more attention than the thing that I think is great, I almost like immediately decide to reject it.
Yeah.
So Christmas Chronicles came out the exact same time as Let It Snow. And like I was like screaming into the ether how great Let It Snow was.
Yeah.
And all I was seeing was like Christmas Chronicles is the best Christmas movie in the last like 10 years. Everyone's got to watch it. And then when I finally watched, I'm like, this is long and not as good as Let It Snow.
I feel like I know they're both movies, but that is very much like comparing apples to oranges.
I just like the sentence starting with, I know that they're both movies.
but other than them
That's where the
both
comparison
being movies
ends.
and
Yeah.
set at Christmas, like those are two totally different movies.
Listen, Dylan, I stand by it. But yeah, no, I realize the flaw in my issue there. And I'm like,
Now,
but again, it's got a long run time. So every time
I'll
I
take
think
your-
about
yeah,
revisiting,
I'll take your length argument where you're like,
Yeah.
it's fucking long. I didn't like the music sequence in the middle of it. Like
Yeah.
those I'll take, but you can't be like, yeah, but it wasn't as good as Let It Snow. I'm like, nobody's saying. They're just
Like
two
I s-
different movies. Like I'm not sitting around with a group of 7 or 8-year-olds watching Let It Snow. But I will with Christmas Chronicles because look
why
how cute
couldn't
those
you?
little elves
That's a
are.
PG-13 movie. That'd be fine.
I'm not saying that I couldn't. I'm saying you think the fucking romantic plight of a bunch of teenagers, you think 7-year-olds give a shit about that?
Listen, you don't know. There's a pig with a Santa hat on it. Like
Oh my god, dude.
that goes a long way. I actually, you know what? Hold on a second. Just because we went on this tangent.
Yeah.
So on the Geekscape Network, there's
Yes.
a podcast called $2 Late Fee.
Okay.
And over at $2 Late Fee, the one host, Dustin, throughout the last year or throughout this whole month was doing his 25 movies of Christmas.
Okay.
And it was all romantic comedy movies.
Okay.
And at one point I commented, I sent you one of them because it sounds great. It was like a Justin Long like parody of a Walmart,
Yeah.
like a Hallmark
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
So I sent him a message on that particular post. I said, you really got to do Let It Snow. It's the most underappreciated Netflix movie.
Okay.
So today he finally posted the last movie and it was
Yeah.
Let It Snow.
was Let
And
It
I want to
Snow.
read his little review.
Okay.
He said, ending this season on a long overdue recommendation from the Christmas expert Matt Kelly, based loosely on a young adult novel of the same name.
Like extremely loosely.
Yeah. This movie is a teen ensemble rom-com with a surprising amount of charm, humor, and a more than decent soundtrack. No Muzak Jingle Bells bullshit here, praises be. Set over the course of one full day during a Christmas Eve snowstorm, we are introduced to various stories from groups of high school students and one pop star who all get to be entangled at the end. I don't know whether it's because I've seen so much mediocre Hallmark bullshit this year or what, but this one resonated hard. It's incredibly underrated and a hidden gem within the Netflix aesthetic. And it features a strong writing and great performances and June Cusack wearing a tinfoil suit. Reminiscent of ensemble comedies of the years of old. No complaints. Great way to close out the year. Who will like it? The teenager inside all of us. The final grade. P for there's a pig with a Santa.
I love it. No, dude,
Yeah.
I fucking love High School Love Actually.
I know.
Like,
listen,
it's-
you and I think have been really singing the praises of Let It Snow
oh yeah,
for many years.
That movie rules.
We need to, if nothing else, the amount of people who have come to us and told us that we are the reason why they watched and then loved that movie.
Let It Snow. Yeah.
We have to talk to the director or the writer.
Oh,
like
yeah. Yeah.
I am going. That is a goal for
2024.
2024 for us. Is we're talking to someone who made Let It Snow.
Let's rock.
And we are gonna. And not only that, Dylan, I think we try to charm them into A, releasing it in DVD, and B, letting us do the commentary track.
Yes. Oh my god, dude. That would be absolutely amazing.
Like,
Dude, could
what
you
can we
imagine?
do? What can we do? We got to get this
what do
in
we do?
physical
What
media.
What do you
We'll
need
put
from
together
us?
a Kickstarter campaign. What do you need? What do you need? It'll happen.
What do you need from
All right, so sorry. Tangent aside, back to Violet Night. This is definitely something I'm going to watch again. This is
Yeah.
something I want to put on my DVD shelf. This is something, it
Yep.
might not be every single year because you know how I am. Once we get to a certain point in December, I don't want anything but the most wholesome Christmassy of Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Not that this isn't that, but like to me,
I
this would
love
fall
that-
into more of a November watch for me.
I get that. I
Yeah.
love that The Night Before has become like one of your like wholesome watches because you watched that twice. and
Listen.
it was close to this. It was close to the night, man.
I don't have a say in that watch though. That is that. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
yeah.
My girlfriend and her friends do Friendsmas where they exchange gifts, and that always ends with them watching The Night Before together because it's their like as. Check this out for a phrase. It's the way that they celebrate Christmas, Adam, the day before Christmas Eve. That's not theirs. That was created by the wife of the pastor at my church. But
Oh, okay,
I was
good.
like, I fucking love that shitty pun. That's great. That's great.
Well,
December
that's like halfway to
23rd. Lock
Christmas.
that in.
The halfway to Christmas is not. It's June 25th, which is Leon Day, which is
Yeah.
just Noel spelled backwards. So
Yes.
I just
Look.
love the stupid shit that we all make up to feel
Christmas
good about
nerds,
ourselves.
man. We're the fucking worst. We make fun of a lot of fan bases, but dear God, Christmas nerds are just as
How can we ease the pain that we face every day in life? Oh, it's halfway to Christmas.
We can. One of the ways is we just imagine Santa brutally massacring a militia
There we go.
in order to save a little girl and keep Christmas alive for one kid. You know,
One
something that doesn't get addressed. John
Yeah.
Leguizamo throws the entire bag of every Christmas toy that's
Yeah.
supposed to go to a church. I'd love a follow-up on those kids waking up all becoming little mini John Leguizamos because they didn't get the thing that they wanted for Christmas after
Just
being
like,
a good
fuck
kid.
Christmas from here on out.
I do love that Santa's got. I like the idea that Santa's lists are just like these little holographic lists, not the like our classic idea is
the
that he's got
fucking
these
paper.
giant fucking scrolls that go for eons. Like no, he just kind of he hops in the house and he checks. Okay, he's on naughty. All right, just moving on.
It is really weird, like, when a lot of Christmas movies take their Santa and make them anti-technology,
Yeah,
which is real fucking weird because you look at some of the stuff that they have and you're like, what makes this different to this? Like,
Yeah.
why is it okay? You can't use jets to fly, but you can fly with magic.
I'll say another thing real quick. Even though like this movie does lean on this more than what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
The first Santa Claus implies this. Noel, which I can't believe we haven't done Noel yet, is so
that's
good.
definitely on the
so
list.
good.
It's such a good movie.
But like, I like the movies that imply that Santa doesn't actually have a list. He just knows. The
I like that
second he
too.
like walks up to a child or anyone, he's just like nice, naughty, nice. Like he's just like it's ingrained in a part of them. Which side note, it happens in both versions of Miracle on 34th Street. It happens in Noel. It is a cheap heartstring tug. every single time that whoever is Santa Claus meets a deaf child and immediately is able to speak in sign language to that child and the joy that that child shows on their face, just fucking Niagara Falls over here. Like I can't handle it. I get so overwhelmed with happiness. Oh man, like we said earlier, man, it's been a very emotional. This was a very emotional winter season for us.
It really was, man. And I don't even know like what
Why?
caused it.
Yeah,
Like there's no one moment that I can pinpoint. Like this is why I cried at the end of all these movies. Like
Nope.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the season this year. But it did. It sent us down a very emotional path.
It
But
was
not
like,
in
for me,
a
it
bad
was
way.
like-
we're okay.
Yeah, no, it was just like I was having like joy overload.
Yeah.
Like I was just like I can't handle this much happiness coursing through
Yeah.
my body.
I mean, mine was back and forth. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I won't say I was crying tears of joy when the dad from 8-Bit Christmas died, but I can say
I mean, even then, I'm not happy that he died, but
I'm
feel
happy
like
you got that that playhouse. Oh my god, the
That's what I mean. I
clubhouse,
think
and then-
something like that. It's the tears of like the importance that his dad still holds into his life,
Yeah.
and that he's passing that love and joy down to his children now. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. It's,
But can
man,
say Violent Night didn't
no
cry.
tears, no tears,
no tears. Shed
not a
by
dry
us, at least.
dry eye for an hour and 50 minutes. Not a problem at all. Then
No,
I
but
put on
solid
Muppets
watch.
Christmas Carol after this, and then tears again. But
Yeah.
thank you, Dylan, for this fantastic,
Of course,
gory,
man.
violent recommendation.
Of course.
Whenever Violent Night 2 comes out, we'll be there
Heck yeah.
with bows on.
With bows on, and it's gonna be a gigantic CGI North Pole, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be really bummed out.
We're
about
gonna
it.
be real sad. All right, well, Dylan, I hope
Yeah.
that you don't have a violent night.
I hope you have a very silent night.
Oh, whoa, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday, have a great holiday, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.